And welcome to Down the Alley. This is PMAC.
And Ted T.S. Spirides.
The source, I got him on a screen right now. He will be joining us potentially in a little bit, hopefully in a little bit. He is live. He's in the booth for the Prior Lake girls, Lakeville South Cougars girls lacrosse game right now. And at the time of the start of this recording, it is 14-12. Every time I flip this game on, the Cougars go on a run. So maybe I should turn it off for the Laker fan base.
Yeah, or if maybe turn it on for the Cougar fan base.
Or keep it on for the Cougar fan base.
Yeah.
When I have it on, I think it's like 7-2 in favor of the in favor of the Cougars right now. So, but we'll get to that later. We'll be talking girls lacrosse, boys lacrosse. But before we do, Old Southern Barbecue has been riding with us all season for multiple seasons. And I'm sure you'll have a couple things to talk about. But I know one thing we were chatting with the big man this week, the app. You can't forget about the Old Southern Barbecue app. Which we all are, if you're a listener of DTA, if you're a Minnesota lacrosse fan, you're a regular at Old Southern Barbecue too. Make sure you got the app. They got like rewards in there. You can get points. You can order ahead. You can track your orders. All the things that some of these apps do. I feel like Old Southern Barbecue app does as well. I know I have the app. Are you on the app?
I am on the app. And to be honest, today, it cost me $94 to fill up my gas tank. And I don't
Gross.
have like a massive car or anything. I have an SUV, so it's not like a Prius or anything like that, but
We're
it's
driving
not
Jeeps around.
Jeeps, yeah, but it's not like a massive pickup truck or
Right.
anything like that. And so get the app. I think you get a free appetizer in this economy. You got to start cutting coupons, and you got to get the freebies where you can get them because it's tough out there, fellas and ladies.
Yeah, it is. I am in the logistics world is a big portion of my world.
Yeah, fuel is probably
9 to 5.
yeah.
Yeah, fuel, diesel, yeah, all the things. So I know what you're putting down there, Ted.
Yeah. But you know, if you're gonna drive somewhere, burnt ends this weekend at Old
Yes.
Southern Barbecue. Worth whatever the gas prices are, it is worth the drive for burnt ends. I guess allegedly get in line early. They go quick when they're out, they are out. And it's a matter of a few hours before it's over. And they have the platter or the burnt end sandwich, which I thought was interesting and sounds delicious right now, actually, as well.
So for
So
the youth lacrosse contingent of DTA, there's going to be a lot of people in Wyzetta this weekend.
yes.
If you're going to Wyzetta, I guess it depends on where you're coming from. But if you're going to Wyzetta, what would be the best location of Old Southern Barbecue to go to this weekend?
Yeah, Excelsior, I think would be the one, right?
I think so. I think that's probably a good
Yeah.
call out. Yep.
Yep. But
That's one of the newer locations too.
that being said, um, I would assume there's teams from all over the place
Right.
coming to this tournament. So, if you're someone that lives in the North Metro and you go play your 3 games and you're hungry on the way back, maybe you hit the Arden Hills location. Maybe if you're a South Metro family, maybe you go to that Shakopee location. Maybe if you're in the city, if you're in a first ring suburb, you go to the OG Minneapolis location. So,
You got options.
there's a lot of options. And if maybe you're like, no, we're not going to go out to eat. We're going to cook and grill at home because I like to do that. In the month of May, 20% off merch, sauces, rubs, seasonings, all the things. Use DTA20 in the online store and 20% off. We were talking about it. Got to take those discounts when you can get them.
Clip them. Clip them. Um, yeah, on to I guess lacrosse. Unless do you have any things that are grinding your gears this week? We haven't we're in the thick of it. So, um, I see every week, but it's
Uh,
usually, it's we're down to business, this time of year.
um, Nothing off the top of my head that is grinding my gears. I'm sure there has been something, but there's been a lot on my plate as of recently. So I think it's an hour by hour situation for me. I think you're in the same boat,
Yeah.
PMAC. Admittedly, I didn't even get to watch as much college lacrosse as I had hoped this whole season, but especially in the playoffs started this past weekend. Sounds like Q's had a barn burner of a game against Yale. They never make it easy on anybody to watch, but they always make it exciting. It's not easy, but it is exciting. So I'm hoping I can watch some of the quarterfinals this upcoming weekend, a little lighter weekend as far as the schedule. But this is not a college podcast, it's a high school podcast. Um, I know we've had fireworks on the girls' side. There's been a little bit less on the boys' side. We're going to start with boys tonight as we wait for the source to hopefully call in here soon or even log on. Um, Kind of have to bring it back to last week, May 7th, my
Your
birthday.
birthday.
It was my 40th birthday.
You and
Uh,
Luke Plato, but
yep,
my brothers.
yep. And so it was we did have a game that night. Farmington did have a game, so that was fun. It was youth night for us, so the bobbleheads came out at halftime and played a little mini game. So that was kind of fun to watch. Always, kind of inspiring to see, that age group come out. But really I guess the big score that caught my eye on the 7th was Woodbury beating Irondale. Um,
Okay.
not any like I guess maybe just for the reason of Woodbury is they're 5-6 this year, so not having like a bad year, but they're definitely I feel like they're in kind of a rebuilding season. Maybe have a younger team like against some of these bigger name schools or these bigger programs. They're getting kind of beat pretty good, and I've heard a lot of noise about Irondale.
A lot of noise.
A lot of noise, and maybe rightfully so. I think they're a good team. We talked about it a little bit last week. They're 7-4 this year, so they're a winning program. But Woodbury gets the 9-5 win over Iron. That's a nice win for Woodbury in a year that maybe they're, like I said, kind of in a rebuild. Hey, tip of the cap to Woodbury on that one.
Yeah, no, for sure. Another score that grabbed my eyes. I'm looking at May 7th, New Prague over Northfield in a barn burner, ten
Yeah,
nine game.
good game.
Northfield's kind of been up and down. New Prague, I feel like this is a pretty solid win, a good win for New Prague, who is now at the time of this recording 5-5.
Yeah, and that's a section seating that's going to have section seating implications, I would think.
You'd think, yep.
I guess sometimes it doesn't. Even if you win the head to head, you could maybe argue positioning, but um, it's a section game. Um, so big win for New Prague to get that on their resume. Even on a compared to last year, maybe like again a rebuilding year. So good call out on that. We also had a 1 goal game, Minneapolis over Waconia, 11-12 or 12-11. Minneapolis wins. So a handful of close games. Um, but nothing else like really shocked me as far as out of the ordinary
I would
or
agree.
unexpected. There was a call out in the Discord of Big Lake Princeton beating Chisago Lake 6-5. I don't know a lot about Big Lake Princeton personally, if that's an upset, or if they've never beat Chisago Lakes, I don't know, but that was called out as well. Um, Moving on to Friday. The big one that stands out to me, St. Michael Albertville beating the Spuds of Moorhead 9-7. I watched the stream. It was a great game. It was honestly back and forth. Each team just answering each other the whole game. The announcer on Lake Conference Network for this game, the STMA announcer, absolutely electric. He was awesome. I don't know how much lacrosse he's seen or has watched or and knows about. I mean, he wasn't like completely clueless, but you could
Okay.
tell you could tell maybe it wasn't his first sport, but like he made up for it with just being extremely excited about the game.
Gotta love
Uh,
it.
and it wasn't monotone. It was like this guy was a pro. It made it even more entertaining. Like the game itself was great. But shout out to St. Michael Albertville. They have really struggled with Moorhead in a lot of the years here of over the last 4 or 5 seasons. That might be the win that gets them a home field game in sections instead of traveling up to Moorhead. Um,
Saves
you
them
know,
about 8 hours in a bus.
yeah. So shout out to them. Both teams looked pretty solid actually. So, if it ends up they meet in the section final, I think that would be a game to watch. I think if you're a lacrosse fan, they're evenly matched. They both have good players, both well coached. It looked like so. That was a fun one to just watch as a fan on a Friday night for me.
Yeah, I feel like this is a matchup we're going to see again in a section final situation. So, um, yeah, bookmark that one for sure. Is Mounds View and Park Cottage Grove, is that a rivalry game or am I making that up?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I could be wrong. East side of lacrosse, I'm not as well versed. But yeah, I don't think so. Good game though, 12-11.
Yeah, yeah, a lot of goals, tight game looks like. Yeah, looks like it would have been a fun one.
Yeah. On to Saturday. Really the game for me that stuck out as maybe an interesting score. It doesn't shock me, but it's interesting. Centennial beating Wayzata 10-7. Uh, Wayzata's been in the top 5 to 7 teams kind of all year. Because a couple big wins. I think they've already clinched the late conference, if I'm not mistaken. Um, and Centennial, we've heard maybe we're sleeping on them a little bit. Big win for Centennial, 10-7. I watched a little bit of this game. It was on a huddle cam, so it wasn't as easy to kind of see what was going on, but both teams looked athletic. Centennial looked like they had some really skilled players. If it's the same guys that we Farmington played against last year, then they definitely have those guys. I don't remember who graduated or not, but they were winning face-offs. They were pushing transition. They were being physical. So nonetheless, shout out to Centennial. That's a what we call a top 10 win on the resume going into sections. And section 4 with Centennial in the mix now and White Bear and Stillwater, that's becoming that's a kind of a gauntlet of a section right there.
Is that going to be a long coaches meeting to figure out these seedings?
Yeah, it might be a long coaches meeting. And you got Hill Murray and Irondale in there as well, mixing things up. So, um, you know, I think Section 6 still has the most top 20 teams or the top 15 teams in it. So it's still, I guess, maybe considered the toughest section. But Section 4, a lot of really good teams in that section as well, with Centennial joining the party. I think they have a chance just as much as anybody in that section.
Surprising score for me. Not that I'm surprised Edina necessarily won, but the margin that they won by Edina over Moorhead.
Yeah. I think Edina is starting to get healthy again. I know they've been missing a couple guys allegedly. They didn't play against us. That was a few weeks ago. Moorhead, playing a I would consider like their major rivalry game on Friday night and then having to
Yeah.
turn around and play, the defending state champs on Saturday. I'm not making excuses. That's a great win for Edina, and like you gotta play the games on your schedule, but maybe that factored in the margin a little bit on how much they had in the tank. But again, nonetheless, a big win for Edina to get back on track and kind of make a statement win. Call it a top 10 win or top 15 win, whatever, depending on what rankings you're looking at.
On to this week here. Do you have anything on Monday? Nothing is
Yeah.
popping out to me, but
So yeah, a couple things on Monday here. The first one was actually no, maybe it wasn't Monday, maybe it was Tuesday. Hold on a sec. Uh yeah, it was Tuesday. Yeah, on to Tuesday. I believe it's the 12th. Blaine 6, Edina 4. Um, Again, I don't know if I'm shocked that Blaine won. Blaine is like a quiet 8-3 right now.
I know, like silent 8-3.
And so I'm I don't know if I'm shocked by that score. I don't know if I should be. I guess nonetheless, that's a really nice win for Blaine. What you would consider maybe one of their tougher games on their schedule. Kind of a low scoring, kind of gritty game. So, uh, tip of the cap. I didn't see the game. But I would have, in my mind, I guess I would have expected Edina to win for no other reason than maybe late conference West South Metro bias
Sure.
that I have. And Blaine, when I saw it, I was like, oh wow, that's like a major upset. And then I clicked on Blaine, and they're having a great season. They're like a quiet 8-3, like I said. So tip of the cap to them. And I think a kind of a statement win for them this season thus far. And then the other game that I guess it's not, again, a shock that they won, but the margin was Zeta 13, Hudson 0. So Wayzata pitches a shutout against a pretty solid Hudson team. Like they've been scoring a lot of goals. So
Hudson just beat Blaine. They just beat
yeah,
Blaine a
in like
couple
a
days
high
ago.
scoring game, right?
Yeah,
Like a 17-12 game or something
right.
like. So the fact that Wayzata turns around and shuts out Hudson is crazy. Like again, I didn't see the game, so I can't really comment on why or how or what. But that score line, that box score, like I know Whiteside has a good defense, but to shut somebody out is already hard enough. But to shut out a team like Hudson is like actually really impressive.
I think you and I have talked a little bit about this, and maybe not directly, but like I had a conversation and probably the last week with another coach, a source, whatever. Um, and they were kind of talking about how teams match up against each other, where
Yep.
a Prior Lake Farmington game might go one way, but then like a Farmington versus a X, Y, and Z school might go one way, but then Prior Lake plays that X and Y Z school,
Yeah.
and it looks different. Like where
Yep.
Prior Lake and Farmington, they did this, but then their outcomes against X, Y, and Z school were
Yeah.
like this, where it's
I
like,
think
how does this all add up? Like, and it's like kind of matchups. Like, is that making sense? Like, you want
yeah.
to verbalize what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. I think it's high school sports in general, but I mean I think you could look at this kind of like even up to professional sports. Like it kind of just depends like what are the team's strengths, what are the team's weaknesses? Is it yeah, their teams match up differently with each other, and if you just look at scores and scoreboard watch, you could be like, well, if we beat this team by 5 and then they beat that team by 6 and we're going to crush them by 20, and it's like, well, that's not necessarily the case. Depending on strengths, like if your best strengths are also this other team's best strengths, you could have a pretty tight kind of rock fight type game, or you could have two top 5 teams, but if like your best and is their weakness,
Right.
like it could just end up being a blowout for no other reason than like a team dictated what they wanted to do early, and it just was unraveled from there. And it's just like, oh, okay, like doesn't mean they're a bad team. It's just like they took advantage of one spot or whatever, and it just happened to the chips fell that way that day. So, yeah, no, I think it's a good point. And I think that kind of again illustrates the 13-0 score line with Hudson and Wayzata.
Yeah, that could be an explanation where like clearly Wayzata's defense liked their matchup,
Yeah,
for
yeah,
whatever reason.
yeah,
They were able to eliminate some things. I don't know if that was based on film, if they got to target something in their scout, or if it was more just matchups. Who knows? I'm not on the Wayzata staff, but yeah, good job either way. And it's
yeah.
prom season.
Yeah, it is. It is. And kind of looking ahead here now to this upcoming week, we're in the final week of games for the regular season.
How weird is that?
It's very weird. This always happens every year. It just kind of you run through your 2 to 3 games a week and you play your game and then you have to turn around and figure out what you're going to do for the next game and the next game and then all of a sudden like oh there have gone 13 games. Uh we'll start with tomorrow night. Tonight as you listen to this recording, there's a couple big games. I'll just get out and say it right away. Farmington versus Rosemount.
Might be the
Gonna
game of
be
the night. It's the
it, it-
game I'm tuning into because it's South Suburban bias, all that,
yeah,
and I know you. So the winner of this game is winning the South Suburban.
I think I think the winner of this game is guaranteed a share at least. I at least I know Farmington has one more South Suburban game. So
So you would
it
guarantee yourself at least a share. Okay.
I think Rosemount. I don't know. Either way, you put yourself in a really good position for the South Suburban title. Obviously, it's depending on the rankings you're looking at. You got the number one team with the number four, the three, or the five. Rosemount is kind of different in different spots, but it's a top five matchup. I don't know if I'd call it a rivalry game necessarily, but two teams that have been pretty good the last couple of years and have had good battles. So I won't shy away from the fact that is probably the game of the night from as far as implications of kind of what is at stake. So, but it'll be fun. That it'll be one of our tougher tests of the year, and we look forward to that. And it's every year we've played them, it's been a tight game. So it's except for maybe one year, I think they beat us pretty good, but it's always been 1 or 2 goal game.
Looking at the rest of this list, there's actually some fun, interesting matchups. Starting kind of near the top, you get the Battle of the Lakevilles, inner city battle, North versus South, and this could be a close one. We just recently played both those teams. I think this would be a good matchup if I had to pick one, maybe South. But I think this could be a tight game. Until the end.
Yeah, and bragging rights obviously with the inner school inner city school rivalry, but we'll have section seating implications as well. They're in the same section, so winner might bump themselves into a better situation seating wise for sections. A little bit different story for both these squads this year than maybe of years past, but I agree with you. I think this could be a good game.
Another one that caught my eye. Lake Conference battle, EP versus Wyzetta. I think you already mentioned Wyzetta is in the driver's seat for this conference.
Yeah, I believe they've already won it.
Okay.
But I did not fact that check that. Someone said that and I didn't fact check, but nonetheless, I think still a lot for a lot of these teams to prove in the within the conference, setting up section seating and all that kind of stuff. I know they're not in the same section, but
I guess
you know,
Wyzetta is 6-0 in the conference. Tonka's 5-1, so they've guaranteed themselves a share in the conference.
yeah, because I guess now correct me if I'm wrong, because we've had this conversation before, because I felt like PL and Farmington were in this situation a few years ago. If you both have one loss, even if it's a head to head, you're just both given a share, right? The head to head
I
doesn't
don't know.
count.
That's above my pay grade. Steve, the source is joining us right
I,
now.
I
Maybe
was
he
told
knows.
that like based from like the conference level, like both teams get a co-champion trophy or a plaque, but obviously the team that wins the head to head would I would assume I would consider them the champion, the team that wins the head to head, even if both are have a one loss, but then the other team that like is in that three-way tie then is like, well, what about us? So it's just kind of a weird, it kind of
Sure.
creates some weird things. I don't know, but it, or if they have two, but they beat the team that wins it, there's all these arguments. So I think they just eliminate that from the cards and just say it's just a share. But nonetheless, Um, I think it will be an interesting game. Eden Prairie is 7-2. Wayzata is 10-1. Two teams that are having a pretty good year.
For sure. Benilde, Stilly. I feel like this is always a big matchup.
Yep.
Two teams that are in the top 10, both having solid years, good years. I feel like this one's a barn burner every year.
Yeah, and Benilde, they have not been getting the love in the DTA polls. I think that early season kind of beat down from Eastridge, I think shocked some people and like pushed them out of the top 10 a little bit. But they're in the top 10 on lax numbers. They're 8-2. They've just been kind of quietly chipping away at their season. Um, I don't really, I mean, this is maybe exactly where Benilde wants to be. I really don't know a lot about them, to be honest with you. I think they've kind of flown under the radar, which is very hard for BSM to do, at least in the last 10 years.
Yeah,
So this will be an interesting one. I think we'll win or lose either team. It will tell us a lot about both teams.
I would agree. I
Hey
would agree.
guys, jumping in off the top rope here. Hope you can hear me all right.
We can hear you great.
Yeah, isn't Benilde like super scary? Like totally off the radar. No one really knows what's going on. They have to be loving it. This is the most ideal situation ever for Benilde. It seems like.
Yeah, I agree. I was talking to somebody about that the other day. They lost to Jefferson, they lost to Eastridge, but both of those teams are, top 6, 7 teams. And yes, the Eastridge game was the first one of the year. They got blown out, whatever. The Jefferson game was close, 8-6. The talent's clearly there because they're winning their other games big. So, yeah, I agree. I don't think we should sleep on them. And Lax Numbers has them in the top 10. So, yeah, like I said, I think this will be an interesting game to see, where both teams kind of stack up.
Two other games that I'm going to keep an eye on. Woodbury STA, little public, little versus little private, as well as Hudson versus White Bear Lake. White Bear Lake has made some things interesting. Hudson, we've talked about them already quite a bit this episode. They've kind of been a little bit all over the place, at least during their Minnesota schedule slate. So I'll be keeping tabs on both those games as well.
Yeah, White Bear also in the top 10 on both DTA and Lax numbers. And I'm just more curious on like what Hudson how they rebound here.
Yeah.
I don't know much about them. I know they're not part of the MSHSL like playoffs or anything like that, but they play so many of these Minnesota teams that it is kind of like, all right, where are these teams at? You can kind of like look at Hudson and go, a lot of people have played them. So, like how did that shake out? And again, matchups play a part, but I know that White Bear Lake can score a lot of goals. Is Hudson, are they changing things up on offense after getting shut out? Is this going to be a shootout? I don't know. But I had that one on my list as well of just like, I just want to see what the final score is, to be honest with you.
Agreed. On to Friday.
Yeah, on Friday.
Elk River, Moorhead. Elk River. I feel like we've mentioned they're starting to gain some attention. They're 8-1. They're taking care of business. And I think this is a bounce back opportunity for Moorhead to kind of get back on the board. They've dropped a couple. They can kind of. What's
like
that?
Section seeding.
Yep.
Factors here.
For sure. So that's my Friday game of the night. I don't know. Yeah. What do you have?
No, that was my one game that really stood out to me. Saturday, I'll just throw it out there. I don't know if you would, but PLEP, mainly just because
we are not playing Saturday.
Oh, oops. Is it
No, I'm looking at the same screen that you're looking at. We are not Saturday, so let's get that corrected. Lax Hub.
Okay.
We are playing Tuesday. Tuesday. So let's talk about that for Tuesday because we are not playing Saturday.
Noted.
Prior Lake contingent will be at the Wayzata tournament for boys lacrosse
Yes, there you
Youth
go.
lacrosse weekend will be in Wayzata.
Yeah, then I guess for me, the other one on my list, I hopefully this game is on Saturday. Centennial and Hill Murray. Mainly, like I think I expect Centennial to win. I think they're the favorite, but again, this Section 4 mess that's going on, maybe make that section seating meeting a little bit longer if Hill Murray can figure something out and beat Centennial. Hill Murray's 7-2 right now. Um, so I don't know. I thought that was an interesting game for me on Saturday.
No, yeah, I would agree with you on that. Centennial starting to make some noise. They've been making noise in the comments and DTA. They want some love. This is another opportunity to solidify that.
Yeah. Um, Monday, nothing crazy stood out to me as far as um I don't know any massive games, but Mankato beat Northfield earlier in the year, and this is part of that Big Nine. They play twice, so Northfield at Mankato earlier this year. No, Mankato wins the game. I think I would have considered them an underdog in that game, and they ended up winning a 5-1 game. Very interesting score. Now Northfield gets the home game and a kind of a bounce back. So who knows? The game could be 30-29 for all I know. Like I feel like it could just completely flip the script. But that game interests me just because it's a Section 1 game.
If I was Big Nine and we got to play everyone twice, I'd college hockey it and play Friday night, Saturday.
Yeah, that would be fun. Um, and then the other one, just again, White Bear Lake Duluth. They always play. It seems like they play every year, and Duluth has beat them a few times, like unexpected. I would call it unexpectedly. They maybe don't think it's unexpected, so I'm not trying to throw shade at Duluth, but I would consider White Bear Lake being the favorite, but Duluth has beat them a few times over the years, like kind of out of nowhere. So I don't know. Maybe this will be an interesting one to watch.
On to Tuesday.
Allegedly, we have PL and EP playing. Um, Kind of an interesting out of conference game that you guys have played now over the last couple seasons. It
Section
feels like
opponent.
it is a section opponent now. Obviously,
Now,
they now,
welcome. We welcome everyone to Section 6.
yep,
So it's a game that not that we need to play, but it's a game we kind of need to play.
yep. And I feel like it's been a close game kind of every year. Like it's been pretty like hard fought game. Like
A
there's
lot of
nobody's
one goal
blowing
game,
anybody
two
out.
goal games. I think we've had an overtime in the regular season a year or two ago. Yeah, it's Eden Prairie's a battle, man.
Yep.
And they're a playoff team. New coaching staff this year,
Yeah.
who's done well in year one as a staff when I think there's a lot of people doubting them. So kudos to the staff,
Yeah.
keeping this transition smooth. And yeah, it's going to be tough, right? We're playing them, I believe, as far as I know, on Tuesday. Unless Lax Hub knows something I don't. Maybe they're going to play without me. And
Yep.
but and it's a team that we could see in a couple weeks from now, right? And it's going to have seeding implications, being a section opponent. So it's an important regular season game for us, and a good measuring stick before playoffs for us. And it's a team that will probably, we've got a good chance that we're going to see again, one way or another.
For sure. And then I think the other one, is this Stillwater Rosemount game. Rosemount and Still are getting that game on the schedule this year, out of conference, out of section. Um, Interesting that gets played at the end of the year versus being early before all the South Suburban/Suburban East stuff. But again, it's I think both teams will look at that game and say, hey, where are we at before we go into playoffs? Because they could meet. Hey, like both those teams could be in the state tournament. If things work out for them. So, it's a team you could potentially see again. But I'll be curious. I'll have my eyes a little bit on that game. We have a game that night too, but I'll probably try to watch a little bit of that, or at least have some sources out watching that game just to kind of see how it's going. I could see it being high scoring. I could see it being super low scoring. I don't. I could go a lot of different ways.
I agree. I agree. I think that you could argue that's the game of the night. Two top
Yeah.
five-ish teams according to the polls. So,
Yep.
um, yeah, that's a big matchup there. Um,
And then Wednesday, nothing really stood out to me. Kind of seems there's some conference games, but nothing section. Elk River Champlin. Champlin's having a 7-3 season right now. They've had a couple nice wins. So, and we just talked ad nauseum about Elk River Zimmerman. So I guess that if I had to pick a game for that night, that would be the one. And then Thursday we have BSM Edina. That one stood out to me. Feels a little different this year than it did last year, but I think it's still going to be a very hard fought game. I think it's going to be an emotional game, and I think again a good test for both squads going into basically the playoffs. And you know different sections, but kind of where are we at? What do we need to fix before we head in? So that'll be a fun one as well.
I would agree. Over to the girls.
Over to the girls.
We got the source with us. I just got done. I was done listening once we started recording. Still watch the end of it on one of my screens. Source, you were in the booth. Was that the second time this week, or is that your debut?
Uh, Second time for Game Time Media. First time this week. I'll be in the booth tomorrow at Eastridge for a Prior Lake, Eastridge, Apple Valley, Egan doubleheader. So excited about that. But yeah, I'm still in the car driving home from Lakeville South. Prior Lake 14, Lakeville South 12. Close game. Yellow cards were flying. Goals were flying. Coaches were mad. Officials were mad. Fans were mad. Press box was mad. Kind of a good game. It's a good game if everyone's upset. So there we were.
From the comfort of my home, behind the screen, I could sense that there was a lot of flags. I could sense there was a lot of emotion, on the field, in the stands, in the booth. So good. Kudos to the people in the booth. From the videographers to the people commentating. To give that to the viewers. When I watched chops, kind of different sections of that game, and every time I tuned it on, Cougars just got hot. I think while I was watching, the Cougars probably scored 7, Lakers 2. So the Lake show they didn't want me watching. They did not. I might not be able to watch the rest of the year based on how things were going when I had the stream going.
Well, yeah. Why don't you just shut that down whenever the Prior Lake girls are playing? We'll keep it that way. Yeah, it was a game of spurts. Prior Lake was up the whole time, but never up by. I think their biggest lead was 4, and Lakeville South shut out Harper Fannin. She was
She's
one of the
good.
players of the game. She took every single draw. She really controlled the pace of the game. She flummoxed Maddie Below, who's the primary draw taker for Prior Lake, and she was really in control, and that dictated what was going on and kept Lakeville South in the game until the yellow cards near the end of the game just started flying for Prior Lake. And Lakeville South, of course, did a great job of capitalizing and I think cut a 4-goal game to a 2 or 1-goal game, and Prior Lake eventually won by 2.
What were the coaches getting mad about?
Uh, there was some questionable calls, some unclear calls, a lot of stoppage of play to make sure paperwork was in order with the yellow cards. Might have had a Prior Lake girl be told that she could go in before she could have actually gone in. So that was another stoppage in play. lot of consulting among the officials, which Heather and Joel both love. When the officials aren't certain what's going on, they love that. And so it was just kind of a little thing. Emotions are definitely high in the bleachers. I try to keep it straight. I'm unbiased. I don't care who wins. I just want a good game. I'm a journalist. Press box, not so down the middle for Lakeville South. That's fine. But I had the Prior Lake statisticians to my right and the Lakeville press box to my left, so it was kind of balanced out.
Good, 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 good.
Yeah,
No, gotta
it was a good
love it.
time.
So Lakeville South, I know they've had a Kevin up and down week with this
Well,
performance.
mostly a down week.
Mostly a down week, but in DTA world, we like a good loss. Was this a good loss? Does this keep them in the top 10 conversation? Like, what should I, as a journalist, and a voter, how should I be evaluating Lakeville South here?
Uh, Lakeville South is a fringe top 10 team, which is where they're at. And DTA, I think they're 11.
Okay.
Lax numbers had them at 10. Shout out to the coaches not doing a poll on Strib since April 27th. So we don't know where they're there. But yeah, they're still a fringe team. Obviously Prior Lake, Lakeville South, pretty emotional game. Lots going on. Their leading scorer is Mackenzie Stromer. Prior Lake threw a face guard on her and literally took her out of the game. Like, she was just wandering around kind of aimlessly, and the Prior Lake defender, whether it was Keely Moling or Eddie Bonnier, was just literally on her hip the whole time. And so that kind of was awkward and threw things off. So they basically played 6-on-6 the entire game. Lakeville South didn't have a good game against Farmington. I'm sure we'll talk about it here in a second. Shout out to the Tigers. Section 1 goes through Farmington, maybe. They kind of got worked over on Saturday against Stillwater, but they showed up and they competed against Prior Lake. I think Prior Lake's a better team, but Lakeville South, they're going to be a factor in Section 1. They're going to be, a factor of potentially making the tournament, and they're going to make people win the game, and they're going to give people a hard time. They're too well coached. They have too many good players, and they'll be a factor. They just probably aren't a top 5 factor.
Fair enough. Fair enough. To keep this thing moving along, kicking it back to last Wednesday, score that jumps out to me, the Battle of the Rochesters. They got more girls Rochester lacrosse than they do boys. So shout out Rochester girls lax. Century wins the intercity battle over Lords 12-8. Do we have any down south sources on the girls' side?
We had one at one point, and I don't know if they still listen or if they still have kids playing or they're still coaching, but I know at one point we did.
Shoot us an email at downthealley whatever at gmail.com. We'll take you, because I'm kind of blind down south for the Rochesters and the Mankato's. I kind of have a little bit of a source in Owatonna, but yeah, we'll take it.
On to Ted's birthday, May 7th.
Yeah, this day had some fireworks on the girls' side of things.
Well, Ted, where did the fireworks start? Kick us off here.
The fireworks started for me with Buffalo, PMAX team, Bison Boulevard. A pretty big win over Wayzata. Again, not shocked that Buffalo won.
Me neither.
In the top 2 on the polls, but like a big decisive win over like another top 10 team. Buffalo is for real this year. If anybody's doubting them at this point, I don't know what to tell you.
Nothing surprises me with Buffalo at this point.
Yeah, same. I thought they were going to win. I didn't think they would win that convincingly. Shout out to them. I can't remember. I'm still driving. Can't remember their schedule. They play South near the end of the season, so I think that's their last. Kind of tough game here. Sorry, I dropped my phone. Yeah, I mean, Buffalo, the stock is super high. Probably not a lot of spots left on the wagon. So be it. PMAX got his spot.
I think the door's locked. I don't know how many people snuck in, but You can't jump on the wagon when they're a top 2 team. The wagon's
Ticket,
full.
Yeah,
tickets are
and
sold out. Sorry.
it looks like they have Maple Grove and
Pick a game.
tomorrow on the
Pick
road at
a,
Maple Grove, and then they do have South on next Tuesday. Wait, no, Saturday. They have South on Saturday at home to close out their looks like to close out their regular season. 6-0 in the Lake. I think they've won the Lake Conference.
uh, Probably. And, shout out to South for having an insanely tough schedule here. But yeah,
Or
Buffalo. We're a Buffalo Bison podcast. No doubt about it.
just looking to see. Yeah, they beat Minnetonka. So yeah, they win the Lake Conference. That unexpected, not something I had on my bingo card going into 2026. Um, Minnetonka, pretty big win over Maple Grove. I know Maple Grove has been in a gauntlet. They score or they have an 8-goal win, 18-10 over Maple Grove. Um, Stillwater beats Park 5-4 in the most on-brand Park score, maybe Park Stillwater score whenever they play. Um, Again, not shocked that Stillwater won or that Park was close, but more so just the score just being so on brand for that game. Um, and I don't know, did we
It's the
even
it's the
go ahead?
parkiest score ever.
Yeah. And then kind of I will call it a shocker. Farmington beats Lakeville South 8-5 in a pretty low scoring game. Um, to potentially solidify home field advantage in Section 1 for the playoffs.
You'd think.
Uh, yeah, you think big win for the Tigers. I know that South has a brutal schedule, but huge win for the Tigers. I think they probably had that one circled on their calendar and came ready to play and held them to 5 goal South to 5 goals, which was pretty impressive.
Did anyone have Farmington number 1 preseason in for Section
Uh,
1?
I don't think so. I think everybody had South.
Okay. That's what I would assume. I can look, but um, yeah. What else? Anything else Thursday?
That those were the big ones on Thursday. Then heading into the eighth here, 2 games caught my eye. The first one, Elk River Zimmerman beating St. Michael Albertville 12-6. Not shocked that Elk River Zimmerman won the game. But that is a section, what a lot of people would say are kind of top teams in the section with Buffalo. Big win. That's a nice win for Elk River Zimmerman in Section 8. And then the other one, because we talked about it last week, the Brainerd Warriors were undefeated, but
They
Grand
were.
Rapids Greenway upset bid. I don't even know if it was an upset, but they ended the undefeated season at this point for Brainerd. Great run for Brainerd. They are now 8-2 actually, because they dropped another game, but they got their 15 minutes of fame on DTA being undefeated. Great win for Grand Rapids Greenway coming in and kind of spoiling the party. But when I saw that one come through, I was like, okay. Like, it was something we had talked about. And I think
I
maybe
was sad.
I was hoping to see it happen. But again, shout out to Grand Rapids Greenway. Being a 4-5 team, that's kind of a nice, backs against the wall. Maybe everybody counting them out a little bit and going in and get a big win.
Yeah. No. Nothing else to add on that.
Heading to Saturday the 9th, I think Stillwater over Lakeville South, 15-7. I think more so the margin of victory on that. Obviously South battled PL to a 2-goal game tonight, so I think I was expecting a closer game, but nonetheless, a very nice win for Stillwater. And then Edina over Chaska. Not surprised Edina won, but 13-9 game. Pretty good. I would say a pretty solid game for Chaska running with an Edina team that's in the top 10, top 5 at some points. A close 4-goal game in my opinion.
Yeah, the source, I just let him in, so he should be joining us here now. I'm interested to hear if the source has anything on Chaska because I would agree with you. Keeping that one tight against a Dyna team that has, beat PL, who's been in the mix. Is Chaska stirring anything up here?
Yeah, sorry, slipped over to the house computer.
All good.
Chaska is frisky. They were my other game time media play-by-play thing last week. Yeah, they are young. They're going to be a factor in 2 years. Like, watch out for them in 2 years. They might be my number 3 seed next year in whatever section, and they're going to win the section in 2 years. You heard it here first.
Well, you had Farmington as the 3 seed going into the preseason this year, and they got the one. So
Listen, um, you know, that's fine. I'll hand up on that one, but keep an eye out for Chaska.
Um, the rest of the games I don't know, didn't shock me as far as scores.
What
Source,
day are we on here?
we're on
Saturday.
Saturday, May 9th.
Gotcha.
I'll just point out because they had a big win a couple days ago, and then they beat Woodbury. St. Croix Prep dividends are being paid 8-2
Yep.
as of Saturday, so a quiet 8-2.
Quite 8-2. They lost to Chisago Lakes, I believe, and I can't remember the other loss they had. Yeah, they're lurking.
Creighton.
The only undefeated team left in the state, and kind of a budget or a budgeting juggernaut in Creighton Durham Hall. It's been a long day here. I assume you talked about the Minnetonka Rosemount game, 10-5 Tonka over Rosemount. That's a little bit surprising.
Yeah, I didn't talk about it. Yeah, maybe
That's surprising for you, Source?
Yeah, Rosemount's been struggling. Tonka is, even though Lily Palm's been out, they've been kind of rolling okay.
They're rolling. They're humming.
Yeah, and so for Rosemount to keep that to a 5-goal game, good on them for slowing it down and kind of making it a grind out. Not necessarily a rock fight, but rock fight adjacent. So good for them on that. And also Maple Grove at Champlain Park. Maple Grove finally bounces back. I
Yeah.
assume you guys mentioned that.
We didn't.
We did-
that's
we
why.
did-
That's why we bring you on.
Yeah, bounce
That's why
back
you're here.
conference win. Two teams that have been pretty solid in the kind of the Northwest Suburban, conference for sure in the state over the last couple of years. So nice win for Maple Grove. Over to Monday, I think the game of the night for me, we heard the noise. White Bear Lake 13, Park of Cottage Grove 12 in overtime, it says.
Yep.
A higher scoring game than
Double
Park.
digits?
Double
That
digits.
Park is normally branding to play. I think I gotta look. Did White Bear Lake get bumped from the top 10 this week in lieu of Park? I believe I thought I saw, or maybe they jumped them or something like that. But
I'll let you look that up. I watched a little bit of this game, kind of in and out on NSPN. Shout out to them. It was a back and forth game. White Bear kind of jumped out to the lead. Park slowed things down there, took control, took the lead. White Bear came back. And then I had a duck out, but I tuned in right for overtime, and White Bear kind of marched down and ended up scoring. So that's a really nice win for them. And yeah, if they're not still in the top 10, I know they're getting votes at least. They're still in consideration along with everyone else in the world.
I got it pulled up. Week 4, so last week's poll, White Bear Lake was in the 10 spot, and then this most recent one, week 5. Park Cottage Grove goes back into the top 10 to the 9 spot. White Bear Lake is out. Hill Murray is in the 10 spot. And now White Bear Lake just beat the 9 team. If I had to look at the actual spreadsheet that you sent me, Steve, I bet White Bear Lake was probably 11 in the
Probably,
poll.
yeah.
I do remember seeing them getting votes. I know I voted for them. And so I think there was probably a pretty big log jam there at the bottom, but like you said, nice win. Let the play on the field, do the talking, and they did that.
However, wait until we get to the score for Wednesday.
I am gonna wait because we're gonna talk about Tuesday. Uh Tuesday, I haven't done any notes quite yet, so feel free to shout anything out.
Well, I mean, Farmington buzzing after beating South.
Yeah,
Section 1 runs through Farmington, and then Shakopee says, he rolls into town, says, watch this, and throws a little 14-5 on them. You were there. You saw a little bit of it. What were your thoughts?
yeah, I did. I got there and I think it was like 9-3 Shakopee. So that kind of caught me off guard. Not because I didn't think they're a good team. Coach Mitch there, a good friend of mine. I know he does a good job. But coming off that South win, I thought Farmington was going to be rolling. Yeah, Shakopee looked solid, like well coached, organized. They play hard. They're doing the right things. They're talking a lot on defense. Um, I don't whatever they did to slow down, the Farmington offense and hold them to 5. Props to them. I didn't see if they were face guarding and locking off or running a zone. I wasn't watching close enough on that regard, but they looked dialed in. They looked ready to play, playing with energy, and sometimes that's your biggest battle. Just come ready to roll and play hard.
I think that
Yeah, I
game
mean,
is going to probably be studied. If you're Lakeville South prepping for sections, you're going to probably be watching that game.
Yeah.
No doubt. And so Farmington, after that loss, they go to Rosemount, who, maybe it's not your sister's Rosemount team, but they're still well coached and they still are a factor. But the Lakeville South win was the biggest trap game ever for South. Was this the biggest trap game ever for Farmington? Like coming off that win, playing Shakopee, have Rosemount coming, neighbors
Yeah.
geographically, and like wow, and that was
Yeah.
kind of shocking.
Yeah, no doubt. Kind of looking
Next
through.
one for me is Tonka 11, Elk River 6. Elk River is, I'm sorry, Elk River Zimmerman. Shout out to the Elk River Zimmerman people. Sorry about that. They've been perennial Section 8 winners. Kept it close against, Tonka. We talked about they've been rolling, but it's 2 5-goal wins the last 2 games for Tonka. Maybe the shine's wearing off. Maybe they need their stud back. I think she's coming back for sections. I don't know for certain, but yeah. Good showing by a quality loss by Elk River Zimmerman.
Yeah. Um, let's see here.
Brainerd, we talked about them last week. They were one of the last 3 undefeated teams, and then we promptly jinxed them, and they lost 2 games in a row, including this game to St. Michael, Albertville.
Yeah. Yep.
So sorry about that. They lost Friday 8-5 against Grand Rapids Greenway, and then they lost to STMA. So sorry, Brainerd. It was a good run. Glad we got you in.
I hate to see it. I hate to see it. Made me
It was
sad.
a good story.
I was fired up. Maybe I got a little too excited. I wanted them in my rankings. I wanted to start pumping that stock. I was ready to go. I was raising funds, but I can't do it now.
Can't do it. But
on to tonight, Wednesday, as of this recording. We talked a lot about the PL Lakeville South game. Great game, it looks like. But the one that's jumping off the page, just wait till tonight, the source said. I waited. Matamidi 11, White Bear Lake 10. The Zephyrs go into White Bear Lake and get the upset. Huge win for the Zephyrs in a
huge win.
Is this a rivalry? They're fairly close in proximity. I don't know. Obviously conference and section teams, so I would assume that they've crossed paths quite a bit. Great win for the Zephyrs. Is this like reverse trap game? Like after a massive win against Park, does White Bear just not bring the energy
A big
for
letdown. I mean,
like it's not like we're looking ahead and we forgot to play the game in front of us. It's more of like we had this big game and now we got to play another one and this team's like hungry to beat us. I don't know, but didn't see the game, but nice win. Nice win for the Zephyrs.
nice win by Matamidi. They're 6-4. They have some, they lost big to Farmington to start the season. They lost big to Hudson. They lost to Roseville. They lost kind of big to Hill Murray, but bounce back. White Bear Lake is a pretty good win. They've got the mega super combo in Hermantown Proctor Cloquet Esco on Saturday. Then they go to they have CDH at home, and then they finish off against PMAX Hedge Fund. So good win to get on the belt before maybe a couple of tough games there to finish out the season.
I man, I don't know if I should say this or not.
Say
Never
it.
mind. Never mind. I'm not gonna say it.
Say it.
Not good because we don't edit. No. This is off air comment. If someone wants to know what I was saying, they can text me.
10-4. Looking forward to Thursday. Thursday the 14th. 25 games in the slate.
Yeah, we're yeah.
Let's see here. Hill Mary Saga Lakes is the first one that I see that I'm interested in. I won't be able to watch it because I will be at Eastview High School doing the PL doubleheader against the Valley and the Eastview Egan combo meal.
Uh-oh. Did we lose the source?
Source might be frozen. He started talking about a combo meal.
I would assume that's the I don't know what he was going where he was going for. Um I'll just take it over here. I think the game of the day for me is this Farmington Rosemount game.
It's a big one.
Maybe just because I don't really know what to even think about Farmington at this point. I don't know what to think about Rosemount. Girls lacrosse in Minnesota kind of has been that way all season. I don't know. Like you talked about it early in the episode, teams matching up with teams in a different way. Like we just don't. I don't even know what to think. And are we at a point now where it's kind of a coin flip, between these top 15 teams?
Yeah, it seems like it's completely off the rails, right? When you start thinking something about a team, then it's going to flip the complete other direction. I guess right now, I think it's Tigers. I think it's Tigers Nation, for this. But yeah, just because I think that, I honestly think I should probably just pick Rosemount in this game.
Like that's like what the trend is telling us.
Yes.
If you think something, like just go the other direction.
Pick the opposite. If you think Farmington, which that's what I'm thinking, source, then I should for sure pick Rosemount in this Thursday night battle.
I agree. If you're thinking Farmington, go Rosemount. If you're thinking Rosemount, go Farmington.
We're all on the same page.
Deal.
What other games are you looking at here Thursday night, source? You started talking about a combo platter of some sort.
Yeah, I don't remember.
That's okay.
Yeah. CDH Benilde might be kind of interesting. Yeah, Hill Mary Chicago Lakes is the game that's really interesting me. So I want to see how that shakes out. On to Wednesday, or I'm sorry, on to Friday the 15th, we got 14 games. Park at Eastridge is the first one that jumps out to me. Park coming off a loss. Eastridge is lingering. That's a inner district rivalry. So interested to see that. That's kind of all that's on the slate that's really interesting me. Anything that you guys see on for Friday? Orno Shakopee might be kind of interesting. Well, Shakopee is kind of the big game hunter, and there's fewer bigger game than Orno.
I would agree. With that. Orno's Orno, right? They got their big guns. Shakopee is kind of the new kid on the block. And they like to. You gonna go to the game?
I might have to. It's a Friday night game.
Where's it at?
At Shakopee.
How are their concessions?
They have them, and they're fine.
Okay.
Let me tell you, there's an Old Southern barbecue in Shakopee that you could go to. and
with
give
burnt ends.
they might be out. It might only be a Saturday Sunday thing. I don't know, but nonetheless, concessions at Shakopee High School are irrelevant because you can go to Old Southern Barbecue. That worked perfectly in the script. But continue.
You know, I might go to watch this game. PMAC, if you're not doing anything Friday after practice, you might have Wayzata Youth. I don't know, but let's go to Shakopee, get some burnt ends, and watch Orono and Shakopee.
No, you
Ted,
know
you're-
what? You know
you're
what I
invited
have
too.
Friday night? I've got practice 7 to 9
Ooh.
p.m. Not because of track, but because of student council sunset on the turf, whatever, at the high school. So I got to wait at the middle school for the girls to be done with practice so then we can practice 7 to 9. Happy Friday.
Can you watch a sunset anywhere other than the Dan Patch turf?
I have no clue. Dan Patch Turf has the best sunset we know because
It
it's
is.
in your eyes, right? When you're trying to play lacrosse. I get it, but we're doing sunset on the turf. It's, happy Friday night.
There is no greater sunset than Dan Patch sunset. That's well known. Well, Ted, maybe if you're not doing anything Friday night, I know you you probably are, but I'll go to Shakopee by myself. I'll get burnt ends. I'll watch Orono at Shakopee. Let's go do it.
I'd love
Like-
Friday night burn ends.
Yeah, I like Friday night lax, Friday night burn ends. Let's do it. Keep it moving. Saturday, 16th, 10 games.
Lakeville
Hill
South
at
Buffalo.
Hedge.
Oh yeah.
Hill at Hedge. Who doesn't like that? Private school against private school, East Side action, two good teams. I'm sure each of them think they'll beat the other one. That'll be fun. South and Buffalo.
Yep. And Hill Murray just got into the top 10. They've been receiving votes. They've been close, but they're finally in the top 10. So a good chance for them to kind of solidify that, prove it, whatever the the terminology would be. Buffalo, Lakeville South. I think
This could be a big spoiler game.
Yeah.
I'm worried as a Buffalo faithful. I'm not, what I just saw on my stream, I'm a little concerned. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know what kind of juice Lakeville South. They're on the road. They got to get to Buffalo. They got to log some miles like that's playing in Buffalo Bison Boulevard favor. I'm a little worried. I'm obviously gonna be rooting hard for Bison Boulevard, but I'm a little concerned. I'm a little concerned. This could be a big spoiler game for Cougar faithful.
It's a really good matchup. Lakeville South, they could really muck it up for Buffalo and slow it down like they did tonight. It's a 2 p.m. Saturday game. That was gonna be tough to do. We might be on the golf course at that time, so we'll be keeping an eye on that one on Minlax Hub. So yeah, those are the two interesting games there. Moving on to Monday, the 18th, 10 games on the docket. Loading slowly. Andover, Elk River, kind of interesting. Hudson at Eastridge. Hudson is the number one team still in Wisconsin. Eastridge is Eastridge. And we got some more Rochester on Rochester crime. Lords going to Mayo. Watch out.
Yeah.
Any other games on Monday catch your eye?
Yeah, no, I think those are the ones that I kind of was looking at.
Tuesday the 19th, 22 games. Shout out refs. Prior Lake at Minnetonka, 5:30 start. Obviously, top three, whatever you want to look at. That'll be a good game. Paul might be back. She might not be back. Regardless, it'll be a good game for the Lakers and the Skippers. South at Shakopee. Shakopee, the big game hunter. South is big game. They're Cougars, literally big game. So that will be an interesting one. That's also at Shakopee. Scrolling down, Gentry at Wayzata. Gentry has been quiet. They have a couple losses to some decent schools, but they've been kind of finding the back of the net. Wayzata. They're winning a bunch of games, lost a couple. This will be a big litmus test for Gentry Academy. against the Wayzata Trojans at Wayzata, so they got to come across town for that. It's at 6 o'clock, so good luck and enjoy that traffic going 694. What else?
Game that sticks out to me here
Yeah.
for no other reason than recent history. Matamidi hosting Cretin-Durham Hall. We know Cretin's good this year. Matamidi out of nowhere, winning that game today. And they get the home game against Cretin. So can they just keep the run going?
I've not watched a lot of Cretin games. They're 10-1, which is kind of an indictment on me. I was talking to a parent last night, not a Cretin parent, but a interested Lax parent, and they said that Rosga is back and playing. I had heard rumors she's not coming back to sections, but then I heard she's back. So if Rosga's back, Sealander has been kind of buzzing on her own, but if they get Rosga back, they're 10-1. They could be making a lot of noise in Section 3. A lot of noise. Yeah. But yeah, interesting against Matamidi. If Matamidi beats Cretin, that'll be notable. BS7 Orono, interesting. And Edina Rosemount, more Section 6 action there. Probably going to be a big factor in the seeding. When I joined in, you guys were talking about multiple teams with one loss in sections. How does this stand with Edina with 3 losses, but they beat Prior Lake? Prior Lake sitting with 1 loss, only 2 Edina. If they went out, does Edina still get the 1 seed?
I don't think so.
2 more losses. I
don't.
I mean, I'm a little biased. I don't think so either, but
heavy bias. But
yeah,
you got to look at the full resume. That was second game of the season.
Second game by a goal. Yeah.
So
goalie situation, goalie issues.
No excuse. Excuses aside.
Yeah.
Full resume, but
it'll be discussed during the section meeting, though. I'm sure.
Will it be a long section meeting?
Might be a long section meeting. Unless we talking blows Prior Lake's doors off, and then it won't be a long section meeting. Maybe.
Yeah. Bumping to Wednesday, I think there's a couple interesting games here. Stillwater Maple Grove, maybe lost a little bit of luster. But Maple Grove bounced back most recently. This could be a big kind of springboard opportunity for them to get back on, to really be buzzing into playoffs. Did they
for maybe? Who? The Ponies? They're going to win by 10.
Okay, there you have it. I was saying for Maple Grove, if they can, find a way to get the job done here. But there you go. If you have problems with that prediction, I'll give you PMAC's number. You can text him. You can start a group chat if you want. But nonetheless, I think that's the game. I think that's the most competitive game that sticks out to me. Although we just talked about Gentry Academy playing Wayzata. Now they got Orono as well. So that's a tough back-to-back for them.
We're gonna know what Gentry Academy is all about after Wednesday. With they got Hudson tomorrow. No joke there. They're playing University School, Milwaukee, whatever. I don't know where they're at in Wisconsin. Then they go Wayzata and at Wayzata, at Orono, and then they have at St. Cloud to finish the season. So we'll know where Gentry's at in a week's time.
A lot of games here still left for them.
Back-weighted schedule, yeah.
On to Thursday.
Are we doing Thursday?
Oh yeah, we don't do Thursday because we'll record just Wednesday.
Just Wednesday.
We talked about Thursday. I think on
there's like 2 games though for the boys. We'll save the girls. There's 21 games next Thursday, so we'll have plenty to talk about next Wednesday night, at least on the girls' side.
Perfect. All right. Well, gosh, sorry for the delay, the technical difficulties, the car, the phone, the computer. Back to the phone. Sorry for for all the difficulties in the on-air production meeting here, but okay. Glad we could get it in.
It's part of the in-season podcast grind. You kind of just have to find a way. You have to find a way to get it done.
This is the life of a professional podcaster source. So you're finding a way. You're grinding through. Not everyone's built for this. You are clearly built for this.
Well, be that as it may, we're getting it done. Whether I'm built for it or not, we're getting it done. Let's get some burn ends on Friday. Can't wait.
There you go. Burn ends this weekend at Old Southern Barbecue. Get there early. Get in line. When they're gone, they're gone. Last week of the regular season, week and a half roughly, because we do have some games left this week. But yeah, it's crazy. And then we'll be talking about sections. So, man, time flies when you're having fun.
I got one quick shout out for Coach Joel Tornell, Lakeville South girls coach. Talked to him pregame. He asked for a shout out for the All State game coming this June after state. The three of us allegedly are going to be there doing interviewing, podcasting, PAing, announcing, whatever. He said, "Can we do interviews?" I said, "We can do whatever you want, Joel. Like we're flexible. We'll make it up as we go, but we'll do whatever you want." So
when is it?
That's a good question. Week after state.
Week after.
I don't think it's like the few days after the state final, right? Yeah,
it's like the Tuesday after state championship.
Okay.
More details to come. Shout out for Joel. Here we got it on the podcast. We'll be there. Everyone come out and watch it. It's a really good lacrosse. It's a really good time. Plus, you can hear us over the loudspeaker at BSM making fools of ourselves.
Yeah, and it's all-state game is like the all-state players play like an all-star game to showcase the. Okay, yep, cool. I know they did that at least with the boys in years past. They kind of gone away from it, but I'm glad the girls are still doing that.
Girls still doing it, and Joel said the boys are bringing it back. So,
great.
Probably you guys should probably know that.
Yeah, breaking news. Allegedly, the boys' all-state games are coming back as well, and should be a fun time.
Whether they are or not, the girls are still having it, and we'll be there.
Love it. Thanks for tuning in this week. Next week, last breakdown of regular season. And like you said, Ted, sections right around the corner. Can barely believe it. We'll be back next week. Source, where are you golfing on Saturday?
To be determined.
TBD.
We'll see. We'll get out some. If the weather's nice, we'll get out. We'll see. A lot of options.
All right. Well, we'll be back next week. We'll talk a little more golf, and we'll break down the Wayzata Youth Tournament as well. So plenty to talk about next week, both on the course and on the field.
PGA Championship starting tomorrow. Second major of the year, down the fairway.
Who's going to win it?
Scotty
Scheffler. Here we go.
See you,
Adios.
See you later.